Here's what he said.
When asked early this week about our identity, I think we just showed our identity. We can do any damn thing we want to do.
I continue to ask the question, what game did he watch? That did not seem to be the reaction I would have had to the game his team played. Dominique, I haven't had you here all week. What is your reaction to that? Did that seem in keeping with the game that his team played?
No, but it seems in keeping with the time of year it is. Like, he spent much of the season being critical of particular players. Right now, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't make the team any better. You can't make anybody make any better decisions. Like, it's like you're preparing for a test. You've done all the studying you could do. Now it's time for confidence. Now, no matter how dumb you've been all semester, your mom's got to come in there and say, man, you're the smartest little boy I know. You're going to go do the best job on this test, because that's all you can have. The confidence will help them, but I think anyone who watched this game and participated in this game recognizes that they can't do anything the hell they want. They struggled against a team that's not very good and only lost because their kicker forgot how to kick.
Yes, if you look at the amount of points the Vikings had been giving up leading into this game, you would not be impressed with the 26 that the Buccaneers put up on them. D. Wood, what did you see from Tampa on Sunday?
Yeah, listen, Dan Bailey was the hero of that game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But one thing I will point out, we talked about Scotty Miller a lot, okay, and how much time AB had been getting when he came aboard. Listen, Scotty Miller got targeted twice. One was for a 48-yard touchdown. His average yards per attempt going to Scotty Miller is more than any other receiver on that Tampa Bay Bucs team. So I think this offense operates better with Scotty Miller in there as opposed to Antonio Brown, and I think that's what they need to do moving forward.
You take a look at those numbers there, and you see it. Antonio Brown's numbers have not been significant. We talked a lot about whether he would be a good or bad influence there. This has nothing necessarily to do with his personality and maybe with the weapon that he is relative to what Scotty Miller has become. Dan Graziano, again, you covered that game last weekend. Did you get the vibe that the players on that team felt as good as their coach did afterwards?
Maybe not quite as good, but they felt good. Look, talking to their players before the game, they were concerned about the Minnesota Vikings. They believed that Dalvin Cook was a significant threat and that he was different from any other run game they've faced this year. And sure enough, he ran for 71 yards in the first quarter against a team that only allows 74 rushing yards a game. So they were right. So I think at the end of that game, they felt like they had overcome something, right? They knew the Vikings were one game behind them in the standings. They had to do something, and they felt good about the way they came back from a rough start and played. So maybe Arians was reflecting that, but a little bit over the top in terms of we can do anything we want. It still seems like a mess with Brady trying to spread it around to a million different guys, but they knew they needed to win that game. They didn't think it was going to be easy. They came out feeling like they had done something, so maybe he was puffing out his chest a little bit on their behalf.
We will see. Again, they have 3 games left, none of them against teams with winning records. Actually, they have Atlanta twice in their last 3 games, including this Sunday, so we will see. Meanwhile, D. Wood, here we go. The spotlight is on you. It is time for Sneaky Hembo. We have a receiver at Alabama who feels like a very legit candidate for the Heisman Trophy, which begs the question, Damien Woody, who was the last wide receiver to win the Heisman?
Man, I'm so disappointed in Hembo. He just threw me a layup. We got a receiver on our set, okay, on the show. I'm going with Desmond Howard, baby. Throw up that Heisman sign for him.
That is correct. Oh, I so want it. Okay, now I will give full disclosure.
Come on, Hembo. Come on.
In the meeting yesterday, I said, we have to see if we can get someone to get this wrong. If there's any chance someone gets this wrong, it would just be so great. Desmond Howard is the correct answer, 1991. Desmond Howard, do you know the other 2 receivers to win the Heisman?
Yeah, my guy Tim Brown at Notre Dame and Johnny Rodgers.
That's correct. Those are the only 3 wide receivers. D. Wood, well done. You let me down, but I'm proud of you. Meanwhile, could there be a 4th member of that group this year? Yes, there could. It's Alabama receiver Devontae Smith. He tops ESPN's Heisman Watch as we go into conference championship weekend. He scored on an 84-yard punt return in the win against Arkansas on Saturday. He leads the country in receiving yards. He's 2nd in touchdown catches. He is, I half past the hour. This is the time when I will ask a series of provocative, hard-hitting questions to Dominique Foxworth, and whether he's ready or not, he will have to answer them. Here we go. First off, I'm taking the Chiefs off the board. Which team would scare you the most if you were playing them in the NFL right now, Neek?
Yeah, I want to say the Rams because I love that defense, but I think the answer is probably the soon-to-be MVP Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. That offense is more important than defense in the modern NFL right now, and that offense can score big at any moment. I understand their defense hasn't been all that consistent, but I'm not sure it matters when you got Aaron Rodgers and you got Devontae Adams, who is as reliable as finding candy in the bottom of your grandma's purse. Every time Aaron Rodgers throws it in that direction, he comes down with a big play no matter how many people you put on him. So I think we got to go with the Packers as the team that strikes the most fear in the heart of teams going into the playoffs other than the Chiefs.
All right, I think that's probably right. Next one. There are three teams, it feels like, right now battling it out on the AFC North, the Steelers, the Browns, the Ravens. Which one do you have the most confidence in, Neek?
Yeah, I mean, I think it still has to be the Steelers. I understand that they're fading, but as exciting as that Ravens win was the other night, they lost some players in that secondary, and that defense is built on that secondary. And the Steelers still have a lot of playmakers on defense. They still have one of, if not the best defenses in the league, despite the injuries that they've had. And Aaron Rodgers isn't the Aaron Rodgers, or excuse me, Ben Roethlisberger isn't the Ben Roethlisberger of old, but they have a ton of playmakers that he can get the ball to. As long as they're catching it, their running game may not be as much of a problem. The Ravens, again, I think I want to have more faith in them, but they have too many holes to make up for in the playoffs.
Yes, I think it's a good point. Not enough is being made of the Steelers' schedule either. They got the short end of the scheduling stick, and that may have contributed to at least one of their two losses. One more. Who will be the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback week 1 of next season?
You asked me who will be? I think it's going to be Carson Wentz. Who should be? It should be Jalen Hurts. Like, Carson Wentz, from everything I've heard, seems like a great guy, and I've seen him reach great heights, but he got so many chances, and he just kept coming up short. Jalen Hurts gotten one chance, and he came up big. For a rookie in his first start against the top team in their conference, he got a win. It wasn't perfect. He made some mistakes. He didn't necessarily put the team on his back, but he was much better than Carson Wentz, who was kind of tanking this team. So I think Jalen Hurts deserves a full offseason of preparation and a game plan built around his skill set, and he deserves a shot at being the starter. But there are other circumstances that I'm sure Dan Graziano will be quick to remind us of, the contract situation that'll probably force the Eagles into making a decision based on money, not based on production.
We will see. They could bring the two of them back, but that in and of itself could create a complicated situation.